Hey there, hope you are doing absolutely fantastic today. As always, we're going to be talking about Hades 2, created by one of my favorite game developers just of all time, Supergiant Games. Supergiant have made some of the greatest games in the indie space, like the acclaimed action role-playing game Bastion, which you should really play if you haven't already, as well as Transistor and of course the first Hades game, as well as some others. All are absolutely worth taking a look at. They just don't really miss. Now, Hades 1 was a roguelike based around the Greek god Zagreus, who is most well known in Greek mythology as one of the first incarnations of Dionysus, interestingly enough. But in this game, he is better known as the son of Hades and Persephone. The plot of the game follows Zag attempting to break free from his father's clutches and join his fellow Olympians in the world above, outside of the underworld. Utilizing gifts from your extended family of the Pantheon that are called boons, you battle your way out until taking on your father Hades himself. Lots more happens, of course, and there's lots of inner relationships. You can even build relationships and potentially find romance, who knows? Now, in Hades 2, we follow Melinoe. I hope I'm saying that correctly. In original mythology, she was often represented as the bringer of nightmares and madness. Her name in Greek even means dark-minded. She is the sister of Zagreus, and while I'll avoid spoiling where we are plot-wise, trust me when I say that it is incredibly intriguing where they've decided to take this family and their story. There's no ending yet in the game, obviously, not like concretely, so I don't know all of the reveals, of course, but I'm very excited to see what they've got cooked up as they continue to flesh out this game. While the lack of a true ending is expected since this is early access, it is definitely the biggest downside to experiencing Hades 2 now rather than when it is done, since you'll not get to experience the story in the flow that they've planned. So if that is a big turnoff for you, I would definitely wait. I do also strongly recommend you go and play the first Hades game before starting up this one, especially since Hades 2 is obviously still in early access, so you'd only be doing yourself a disservice by not experiencing the masterpiece that is not only finished but predates it, especially if you are somebody that cares about experiencing the full story between the two games, because they are connected. So I recommend putting this video down and going and playing that first one. Then come on back and I'll tell you if I recommend hopping into the early access of Hades 2. And while I get that this is a roguelike and the gameplay is about I would say 70% of the enjoyment you'll get, I do think that the story is more important to the Hades games than to most roguelikes. That being said, Hades 2 has so much game to it already. This is, in my opinion, one of the better early access games I've honestly ever played. And I've played a lot of them on this channel especially. It has everything you'd expect after playing the first, with the boons, variants of weaponry that changes your playstyle heavily, and the ambrosia relationship gifting system. This game is a carbon copy of the first as its foundation, but it adds just so much more to the core gameplay loop, as well as the things that you do outside of your runs in the main hub area. While all the plot-related content is definitely not completed yet, the game is nearly complete when it comes to gameplay, other than some placeholder graphics and such. It also plays relatively bug-free, which is pretty incredible, especially in this current modern gaming landscape. You can easily spend 30 to 40 hours in this and still feel like you have much more to do. In fact, one of my close friends, shout out Witherstorm PvP, go out, subscribe to my boy, he's the GOAT. He already has nearly 200 hours in the damn game. In terms of those new gameplay features, they've added farming, potion brewing, and hot steamy baths with your favorite gods and goddesses. Can't go wrong with that. Not to mention more music from Darren Korb, who's been doing music for Supergiant for forever and has created banger upon banger for them. Seriously, just go listen to some of his music. It's fantastic. The build crafting also just feels so damn good already, with plenty of old and new faces joining the Pantheon of Olympians trying to help you complete your goals, as well as some new systems that affect how you play, as well as affect how easy or difficult your runs are. It's pretty awesome. Also, Hestia is adorable and we love her. Also, the boss fights of this sequel are some of the best this duology has to offer. While the first Hades did definitely have some fantastic bosses, Hades 2 just feels like a pure evolution of the first, with more variety in how you have to adapt your playstyle depending on the boss, as well as the visual aspects of them as well. It's all just so damn fantastic. This game also has an incredible villain. Oh man. You feel his presence even now before an ending has been properly made for the game. Truly, Hades 2 is far more polished and successful as a sequel than it has any right to be, even though it's still in early access. The first Hades is absolutely beloved for good reason, and this sequel did everything I could have possibly hoped while sprinkling in even more than I expected. I seriously have no doubts in my mind that this will stick the landing when it hits that 1.0 release, which, speaking of, it sounds like this will be in early access up until Q4 of 2025. I'm very excited to see what else they have in store for us, especially considering how incredible this out-of-the-gate offering is. In terms of negatives for this game, I don't have many, and most are minor grievances. I personally don't love Malinois out of the box as much as I adored Zagreus from the beginning. I don't blame her design or the voice actress, I just personally don't find her as easy to connect to at the very beginning. I just found Zagreus a bit more compelling from the get-go. Not to mention, he was just relatively more relatable, at least to me. Could definitely just be a me thing though, so take that with a grain of salt. I also don't adore the newish level kind of variant that they've added. They are basically big maps that you search through and find little pockets of enemies guarding an objective. Feels a little bit like padding and doesn't feel like it really adds something that feels fresh. Again, could just be me though. I do still appreciate that they are continuing to experiment with the formula from the first game. So here's how I'd slice it. If you loved the first game for mostly its gameplay, get the sequel at your next earliest convenience. It's more of what you loved with extra content slapped on top. And farming. You get to farm. I love it. I'm sorry. I love farming in games for some reason. But if you loved the story and world more than the gameplay aspects of the first game, I would wait until it hits 1.0 so you can fully experience the tale of Malinois as they intend. But truly, this is one of the best early access games I've played, and you can bet your booty I'm going to be reviewing the full release of this bad boy. And last thing before we wrap up, just want to say that this video was voted on by you lovely people. Every quick review we do on the channel is voted by you guys, so go ahead and head over to the community tab, and the next vote for the next quick review is probably already up. So if you'd like to have your opinion heard on what the next one should be, head on over. And always feel free to comment any games you want me to try out that are in early access or have been out forever, or I don't know, whatever you enjoy. Let me know what you want me to cover. Maybe it'll make it onto the vote next week. Or, well, not next week, but next time I post a quick review. I wish it was weekly, but I am lazy. Anyhow, thank you so very much, as always, for watching this video. If you enjoyed, do leave a like, and if you would like to see more of my content, don't forget to subscribe and hang out next time. But most importantly, have a goddamn wonderful day, and don't die. Cheers.